channel. My name's Adrian, and this is my weekly channel update. This is my opportunity to look at the games that I bought over the week, the games that I played, and then we'll have a conversation or discussion point at the end. And this week I've got two, because fans of the channel will have noticed that I wasn't here last week because I was on a family holiday. So I think we'll put two in. They're not massive, two big discussion points, but they're both things that have been, well, one's new, but the other one's kind of been grinding on me the few days. So I was like, yeah, I kind of want to sort of just discuss this. One is number of players around a table, and the second one is Dark Sun, which there's a heavy hint that it's coming back, which we'll get on to. So as either, I'm going to start with the games I've played. Over the fortnight, because I was away for a week and a bit, there was only 2 games played. So my usual Tuesday night of Horde Wars Advance, for those that have played it, it's an old school game based on it's old school-ish, based on a D12. And there's obviously a lot of random encounters and stuff that take place in it. And my whole session before I went away was them planning to go and do stuff. They were finishing bits off from a previous quest, sorting out money, buying equipment, sorting out where they were going to go. And then we had a couple of random encounters getting to the destination where they were going. And due to distance, they found a swamp village that was full of zombies. And they could have just gone round. Nope. I have one party member that is an absolute hero, so that was the session, clearing out a swamp village, which was, say, the wonderful thing about random encounters, especially if you're doing it on a VTT, make sure the VTT you use is something that you're really quick at using. So I could just quickly go in. I'm using Roll20. I know people have sort of opinions on Roll20, versus Foundry and other things, but I've been using Roll20 for years, so I just quickly go and found a zombie sort of village map, uploaded it, got all the zombies in, and yeah, that was the session. And again, Horde Wars shines when combat starts, just because of how tight the combat mechanics are. It is really, really exciting and swingy because of, when you roll a 12, it's a crit. It's doing double damage for them and for you. So yeah, that is good. And then the Friday night just gone. My live channel games are up and well away, and we did Fomoria with Brian, the creator. So if you're not aware what actually happens every Friday night now on Dungeons and Dyslexia, my Tabletop Tales channel, this has all been set up through my Discord. So if you want to get involved, please join my Discord. The link is in the channel description. And it's an opportunity for any game creator that's created any game to come onto the channel. We will allow you to go live. You can run a one-shot. The plan's to run from 8 p.m. British Summer Time to about 10:30, 11 o'clock British Summer Time. I'll find the players off my Discord. You come on, we'll run it live, and we'll just... Well, we've done Dark Space and Shadowdark for Fomoria so far, which has gone really well. They've been an absolute laugh. That you can actually go and watch them live, because I do it through StreamYard. So once it's finished, it's automatically out and stays out on YouTube as well. So I'll put the link for that channel into the video description. We are now booked up to the 19th of December through amazing creators that I thought I might get 1 or 2 over the next few months, but yeah, we're fully booked up. And I'm also booked up 2 weeks in January. So if you are interested in running a game, please join my Discord. Come over there, or private message me on Discord, and we can chat and get you booked in. If you've got projects due to end, sort of Kickstarter projects due to end next year, let me know. Book in early. I've got 2 pre-bookings for February as well, so it's looks like I'm doing this every single Friday. But Fomoria is a sort of Iron Age 3rd, 4th century AD, based in sort of Western Europe with that sort of mythology. Say Brian ran one of the starting dungeons for that. It was an absolute laugh. I nearly died. Actually, I nearly died in Dark Space as well. Maybe there's a theme of people trying to kill me off, and we were trying to work out if I would just take my ball and go home, just shut the stream off because I'm dead. But I didn't. It was actually, I'm not going to tell you how I nearly died, but go and watch that. That is good fun. So if you want to be involved, join the Discord. So before we get into the discussion points this week, I want to look at, and I've got 2 weeks worth of books here, and it kind of dawned on me when I was on holiday that realistically I can do 2 or 3 books a week from a review point of view, just because the time it takes for me to read and review books, and I'm still picking up 10-ish a week. So I've got enough. Luckily, I've got enough sort of material to keep this channel going for months, if not years. So thank you to everyone that sends stuff to me. So let's just get, most of this is going to be blind because I just have not had an opportunity to look at anything with being on holiday. I did take some physical books to read and I went through a lot of those, made notes, had some sort of play testing and stuff. So there will be some more physical books coming over the next week or so, but say most of this is going to be completely blind testing. So we've got, starting off with Carousing Options Heists here, which is a Shadowdark sort of mini sort of zine here. It's written by Dean Lucius, who sent me a variety of different other Carousing Options as time's gone on. So we've got Heists here. So this is, so it's normally a, yeah, it is. So it's an alternative rules for carousing, including the money spent and some just sort of different XP and bonuses you're going to get for the player characters as they are leveling up, which is always good. More options is always best, I think. The next 3 have been sent to me very, very kindly by Trollord Games. They have sent me the PDF version of the starter set for Castles and Crusades. And Davis Chenault is also now booked in for an interview, I think November, who's one of the writers of Castles and Crusade. I know people have been nagging me to sort of get it reviewed, and I keep going, yep, I'm going to get this reviewed. And now I've got the starter set, it's a reason to get more into this, and especially now Davis is actually booked in. But so what are we going to get? I'll read this one first. So we've got a character creation book included, Into the Dark, which must be the adventure, and then read this second, directing the game. Okay, good artwork, as you'd expect from Castles and Crusades. I'm a bit blind on this because I've read the player's guide mostly, but not enough to sort of take it in as yet to do a review, which is why I thought it was really kind that they were going to send this over to me. So we've got human fighters stuff in here. Obviously, this isn't going to be too spoily because this is the sort of player's guide of creating stuff up. Oh, that's a cool looking dragon. Castles and Crusades, as far as I'm aware, it's a D20. I think it's roll over. I don't remember it being roll under. But maybe you can do both. I don't know. So it's the harsher modifier, so it's not the 5th edition modifiers. So because 18 is a 3, not +4. So what character classes are we going to get in here? So we've got a fighter, rogue, wizard, dwarf. Okay. It's weird that it goes to black and white as it goes to, maybe that's how the main core rulebook worked. I don't know. Don't remember. So directing the game. So this is your Games Master's guide in here. How to run combat. So rolling D20 to make attacks, trying to beat ACs, stuff like that. So it's all relatively familiar to anyone that's, you know, run any sort of AD&D or 5th edition. Well, not AD&D, because obviously that was Thacos, wasn't it? Still back in the Thaco days. I like it. The one thing I did notice, I seem to remember when I went through the book, is there's a lot of character, sort of race, class options and stuff, which is always really good. And then we've got, what's the adventures? 24 pages, seems to be. So the following scenario is designed for 3 to 8 first level characters and intended to help first time castle keepers get the game started. To run this adventure, you need to have run the character creation and directing game from the starter sets. Any players in this adventure must also read the character creation book. Okay, so that's quite cool. We're just going to stop here. But yes, that's quite cool, as you'd expect from a starter set. Sort of player's handout, Games Master's handout, and an adventure. Juan and I were talking about Crown of Salt, so I picked up this. I think this was the runner-up to the strike for the best long-form INI adventure, but I haven't read it yet. obviously, because, well, it's you go on holiday and you just have a bit of time to relax. It's really difficult to sort of get back in once you're back. There's a lot of D12 tables. I like a good reason to roll a D12. Gossip tables. This is using Morkborg or Merkborg. However you want to say it. It's Morkborg in my world. Harlins. Art's really nice. It's a good style. I like this. See, that's weird because I'm not normally a fan of black and white writing, but the green doesn't make it quite as tiring, which is interesting. It's great style. It's great styling for the adventure. That looks good. That looks good. Like it. Okay, so we've then got Cats of Ulthar. This is a weird one because Bruce emailed me, the writer here. He's gone, would you consider reviewing a graphic novel? And I'm like, well, I'm happy to have a look at it, but I'm not sure what I can do with a graphic novel. But here it is. Here's the sort of preview review, looking at the art style. This is a Call of Cthulhu story, so I'm not going to spoil any more, but it looks good. Just look very, very nice the way the art style that is used. Dream of the Dark, which is an adventure from Arkham Dark. Arkham Dark did a review of it a few weeks ago now. It is Arkham or Call of Cthulhu with using the Shadowdark rules, which is really good, written by Terry Wysant. And this is an adventure that what's the level? Does it say what level we're into? If it doesn't, they're normally sort of very early level, sort of 1, 2, or 3. But so it's 17 pages. It's probably available on TTRPG now. So I've got all the NPCs at the start, and then we've got encounters that are going in. I'm not going to show it again, not any more than that. Eldritch Gits. This was kickstarted by. So I bought this Jailer Sard, Broken Rat Games. This is following on from his Fantasy Gits and Space Gits series that he's written. And 150 pages. So this is based in 1930s America, sort of a Chicago sort of area. So you've got sort of like mob bosses, things like that, but also Call of Cthulhu. It can be played as a straight Cthulhu game, can be played as a straight mob boss game. It's really up to you how it works. So the stats are going to seem very familiar. Strength, dex, health instead of con, intelligence, insight instead of wisdom, and charisma. And you are, let me get this the right way around, you're rolling, is it under for attributes and over for skills? It's the other way around. I can't quite remember. It's one way, it's definitely one way or the other. But I think it's a D20 roll over for attacking and stuff, and everything else is a D20 roll under. When you're trying to do skills and skill checks, it's one of those. But all like the other Gits series, we have got random character backgrounds, a bit like Traveller, if you've ever played something like that, where you will have your sort of character type. So here we've got a criminal, and for each year, they're normally about 4 years for rolling. So each sort of term that you take in that, you will make a roll and something random will happen. You'll get a random skill or ability, something along those lines, as well as a random event that may increase attributes, decrease attributes, give you additional contacts. You can end up, here you go, number 6 here, arrested and go to prison, which technically ends your character creation from there. But you can then do the prisoner one, and maybe you can manage to get out of prison and then do something else as well. So yeah, if you want to play that, all the artwork, and this is done by Jeff Whitty. He's done the lot. And then obviously you get your occupation in here: adventurer, brains, charmer, enforcer, scoundrels. I pretty much set to start doing a review for this before I went on holiday, and then I forgot to take this, so it'll come at some stage, because I do like these Gits sort of books. Then got Sapphire Seas. Sadly, before I went away, I was meant to do a live interview with Will MB. And we were going to sort of focus on this, and I've got to get him back in because he's got another surprise to go through. Sadly, he had car issues, didn't think he was going to make it, so I cancelled it, did something else, and then sort of 20 minutes later he went, oh, my car's working now, I can make it, but I'd already cancelled off the live. So we were going to go through this, have a look. So I'm going to save this, but this is like 410 pages of adventures. It's very much sort of Greek mythology, based on all these sort of Greek type islands. There's lots of encounters, huge in, as you can see in here, lots of random tables, lots of monsters, lots of creatures. It's a very in-depth sort of campaign setting from 1st to 10th level. So if you like sort of Greek, I think there are late pledges still going on for Sapphire Seas, so you can find that on Kickstarter. This was only just sent to me just before I started recording by Fenris77, who has been on every live play so far. So if you want to go and find out him without a hat last week, first week he wore a hat, so you'll be able to spot him quite easily. And this is an adventure. So he does these wonderful Warhammer Fantasy role-playing, but with Shadowdark called Shadows of Empire. This is the 3rd zine that he's got. Well, he's got a setting, then a sort of an expansion on, and then this is the first sort of adventure, which is for levels 6 to 8. 62 pages. Okay, so we've got some background, magic, some beastry in here, some setting details. The Merry Bastards. We're going to have a look at that. It's not hyperlinked. That's going to be the adventure sort of setting and the catacombs, and then some notes. Let's go just see what the Merry Bastards are. So loads of creatures, NPCs. The Golden King. That's probably towards the big end boss NPCs. Got some special hexes here. And Merry Bastards are a faction of bandits led by Dogman, and a couple of other named men are unhappy to want to leave this nightmare of a valley. Okay, so I'm not going to show any more, but that's very much a bit Egyptian looking theme to that, isn't it? So that's quite cool. And then we've got the Cursebinder, which is free. This was sent out to all of my paid patrons for free. So again, thank you to Dean Lucius. This is a character. So this is a class for Shadowdark, so that it has been play tested. They use Misfortune as a weapon against the enemies. So this has got a detect curse spell, an evil eye, and then it can suppress curses in here as well. And then they've got the talents. They can bleed more easily. Because this is the one that uses the bleeding to suppress the curse half your level. Start at level 2 or however you may roll on the curse talent. So it's going to give you additional curse abilities. Okay, that's quite cool. You take a d4 damage whenever you tell a lie. So these are different curses that you're going to give to people. Oh, that's why you may bleed more easily. 1 HP extra per damage wound received. You're blinded in bright sunlight. That's cool. That is cool. I didn't actually look at it. I just sent it to my Patreons. So if you want to join my Patreon, you will get freebies. I'm going to start on the higher levels as well, including the books that we put on the reviews. So I'm going to start sending those out to my Patreons. I think this is the last one. Yeah, which is Web of Shadows by Dan, Lab Recce, I think, from the Yellow Hand. Jay Sodalius sent this over to me. This is a Monster of the Week adventure that has been converted for Call of Cthulhu. And one thing I really like about the Yellow Hand is not only their stories, but they have, the back of the books, they always have really good handouts to give to all their players. As a games master to give for all the players, which is always cool, I think, because it's that old sort of 80s 90s. I don't know if if you were around at that sort of period where you sort of like photocopying pages to give out to player characters. So that was always good. What is the idea of the adventure? Is it going to give me a little bit about Cthulhu itself? What is the idea? Nestled along Route 50, the loneliest road in America, the isolated town of Eureka, Nevada, lies a terrible secret. A series of unexplained disappearances has shaken the locals, but the truth runs deeper. For centuries, the town has serviced a stronghold of cult of, oh dear, Callithepethis. We'll go with that. Web of Shadows is a complete engrossing 56-page scenario of Call of Cthulhu, which pits investigators against a mysterious, embedded cult of nefarious spider god in the desolate, hilly regions of Nevada. That's very X-Files, which fits, obviously, with the Monster of the Week idea that comes there. Okay, so, right, that is everything come in. So what I want to do is just spend a little bit of time just going through the 2 topics of conversation. And one came from what my children refer to, or who my children refer to, as the Sausage Man. So it's the guy that brings our meat on a weekly basis, and because my kids are hilarious, they refer to him as the Sausage Man. So he has recently joined a 5th edition session in our local town that's being run face to face. So I think it's a woman. I think he said that I can't think what her name was. That sort of set up a group on Facebook. It's like, anyone want to play 5th edition. So it happens on a Wednesday evening at the Valkyrie. So if you're local and you want to join in, maybe not because of what the Sausage Man has said. I'm going to avoid using his real name just because it's not that I don't know whether I need permission to use it. But he has hit the thing that we always have the problem with 5th edition. Well, there's 2 problems that he's got with this game. The first one is, so it started with 4 to 5 players, and it's built now to where they're getting 7 players. And he was asking me, what would I do? Because 5th edition is slow with 4 players. But the monsters in general are balanced-ish, if you ignore the CR rating, to 4 to 5 creatures, and you're 4 to 5 players. So if you're going to 7, there's a lot of things aren't going to be much of a challenge. But the games master may be very experienced and can adjust encounters or write encounters to make it a little bit more interesting. And no, I'm not a fan of balanced adventures at all, or encounters. I'm like, if that's the creature you get, that's the creature you get. You either learn to run away, get your smarts on to get out of there, or you're going to die, or it might be easy. These things happen, and players do love just big bad wipe it out in one round, which can happen in 5th edition just because of the way things are. But 7 players, he was saying how bored he was because the combats just dragged. They were doing combats over evenings, not just an evening, taking a while. And I was like, you've got to cut the group down. You need 2 groups there. I don't know. Does anyone else think 7's an acceptable? I think it's too large, even for things like Shadowdark or Old School Essentials that are relatively snappy and quick combat encounters. 5, any more than 5, I'm like, you need 2 groups. That's me. And I'm not even a massive fan of 5. I like 3 to 4. If sat at 7s, that's 8s, that's 2 groups of 3. There are plenty of good games if you're worried about running 5th edition on that. You can, even if you're going to run 5th edition, just take a quarter of the hit points down, something like that, just to make your adventures a little bit easier and a lot less work on the table. That's kind of my thought. I was just like talking to him about it, and I was like, you can't do that. You need, even if you had a table of 3, so only 2 players, there's really good things you can run for 2 players. Pendragon runs really well with a games master and only 2 players, because you only got the 2 knights then, and you can actually elevate the players to be a slightly better sort of on the cast system, be a bit more interesting when they're up there. There's, I wouldn't probably run Call of Cthulhu. I think you're going to lack the skills and the sort of range of where you're going to go. But there's plenty of other good games you can run with smaller groups. So that's kind of my thought. What would you do in that situation? I'm like, 2 tables. You've got to go 2 tables. But it does then bring in the other issue of having a games master to run the other session, which made me think, I could maybe wangle a Wednesday evening and go and run something that different that isn't 5th edition. But would you even get the players for it? I've got sidetracked now. But I want to go through my main. I say main. This was something I stumbled across just today. So I did a video a while back, and I don't know how I'm going to share this, about Dark Sun, saying that it's the problematic one. It's the the embarrassing baby in the whole of the Whatses, and then we've got this that sort of appeared. Well, it's actually Thursday this week, so I missed this because I've been away. But Dungeons & Dragons released new Earthrealm Carter subclasses, strongly hinting at Dark Sun. It appears Dark Sun campaign book is coming out in 2026. And the reason for that is Wizards of the Coast has released 4 new D&D subclasses, which all have heavy thematic, post-apocalyptic Dark Sun settings. The 4 subclasses are the Circle of Preservation Druid, the Fighter Gladiator, the Defiler Sorcerer, and the Sorcerer King Patreon Warlock. Now, that screams of Dark Sun, because the Gladiator is exclusive, well, always was exclusive to it. Sorcerer King, again, exclusive to Dark Sun, as well as the sort of Defiler sort of class sorcerer there. So I think that heavily implies we are now going to see a Dark Sun game from Wizards of the Coast or Hasbro, however you're going to put it. So this is my conversation point with you. Wizards of the Coast are struggling. We're all aware that 5.5, whatever, 2024 edition of Dungeons and Dragons hasn't sold well. It hasn't appeared on. No, I don't want to get into that. How badly the company is running, but obviously it wasn't announced in any of their profit stuff for the end of last year and things like that. You'd expect it to be bigged up for the shareholders. But so in the video that I was talking about, I was like, it's far too problematic, because if you think about the word slave, there's a lot of companies, big mainstream companies, don't even like to use the word anymore. Looking at you, Disney, Boba Fett's ship, what are you doing? It's not Fett's fire spray. It's always going to be Slave One. Argument for a different cause, maybe. But the point is, in Dark Sun, pretty much everyone starts as a slave. So in the video I was talking about, there is this reluctance to talk about slaves and slavery and things, rightly or wrongly, however you're going to judge fantasy settings. But it's very much dominated in that harsh post-apocalyptic world that's run by a variety of sorcerer kings, and everyone else is poor, slavery, things like that. And it's an incredibly interesting world, because it's the proper, you are fighting against all those that have the money and have the power, but equally you're still fighting against the world, trying to find resources, food, water, all that, just to survive the night in the ridiculously cold desert, and then the boiling in the day, all these things, which makes it really interesting. And it can be a really interesting world. But I've got huge reservations that if Wizards of the Coast do it, which it now looks like they possibly are going to be, that would it be done right? Will they have the balls to actually do Dark Sun as we know? Or will they do what they did with Dragonlance, the new book, and Spelljammer, and just release stuff that we sort of go, that should be good, and we get it, and I go, no, at this moment in time, you fooled me with 2. And I'm reluctant to even get excited about this until I start seeing I'm not even sure I want to see other YouTubers talk about it, because I kind of want to hold it myself and have a look before I make a decision. But that means buying it, and I don't know, because Wizards of the Coast, obviously, if you're watching this, I tend to think probably only my subscribers watch my weekly videos. But if you're watching this, then the way I do my reviews, you can see every single page as we go through the book. Obviously, my face is in there too, so it gets around the copyright thing. Everyone that sends me reviews are perfectly happy with the way I do it. Wizards of the Coast copyright struck a lot of YouTubers on their 2024 book for showing pages, not all of it, just some pages. So I'll never be able to review Wizards of the Coast product without probably losing my YouTube channel, which I was quite small when I did a couple of them, so they've gone now, because you just don't know how Wizards of the Coast are going to react to it. So I'm excited, but also incredibly nervous, because I don't own any versions of 5th edition anymore. Well, Wizards of the Coast 5th edition, I got rid of them. I've got them on PDF now. And if this is a great book, that means I've got to go back and remember how to do 5th edition again, because I'm going to want to play it. And I'm hoping it's going to be a standalone book that all you need is the player's guide and the Dungeons Master's guide. But then they fully support it and they do it right. They do it the way I remember it, the way it should be. But I just don't think they're going to have the integrity, the nerve, the bottle, the ability, the skill, whatever it may be, to actually give us the game that we would like to see. Because this, I think, done right, is a huge opportunity to bring us old grumpy men and women back to it, because it's one that we all fondly remember, that hasn't been touched. They did a couple of books in 4th edition, but that doesn't count because no one really played 4th edition, and they did it very well in 3.5. And if they get this right, we could start moving back. Get it wrong, it hasn't cost us anything, but it's going to cost them more. It's a really risky venture as far as I can see. But that's just my thoughts. Let me know down in the comments below what are your thoughts. Are you excited to see Dark Sun come back? Are you just happy with the Shadowdark? You know, we've got a couple of good Shadowdark books that pretty much cover Dark Sun, so could argue we don't need it. It could be good source material. Table numbers as well. Let me know down. You know, I think 7/8 players. It's got to be 2 tables. 3 each. So that's that's it. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. Live on Wednesday night, we are doing Soulbound as our group review, as picked by Rob. Thursday night, I'm interviewing Troy Meppians, who is the wonderfully underrated Ashland, and he's released 3 books, The Good, the Bad, and the Savage, I think it's called. There's 3 of those for Savage Worlds, so 3 Western books. So obviously, a huge fan of Deadlands, but this is straight cowboy. The Weird and the Wild is out, and more Western themed, proper. It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek so it's done, so it's very episodic in the way it's done, so it feels a little bit like those sort of 70s and 80s cowboy TV series and sort of 60s, those sort of things. So, but it's a lot more grounded than Deadlands, which is nice to see because you don't get many sort of straight Westerns. And then Friday, we are live back on the other channel with the one shot for Night Watch, which is an alternate history, steampunk, sort of 18th century, big steampunk mechs. Thumbnail should be going out over the next day or so. Come over, support, watch that, and say if you want to be involved in any of the live plays, either as a player or a games master, join my Discord and we'll get you in. And if you're still here, thank you for watching. I will see you on the next one. Thank you.